Here I'm putting examples of strategic versus tactical opportunities already provided for in there, where I talk about California Closet as a company and explain what do they do. And then I give a A and a B. And then you try to see which one is tactical, which one is strategic. So, for example, here, after the COVID-19, 25% more people have selected to work from home, according to Nielsen 2024. Versus B, trade shows attendance has increased by 30% between 2021 and 2022, according to Nielsen 2024. So they could be both tactical, they could be both strategic. In that situation, one is tactical, one is strategic. And so what do you think is A? Is A tactical? Is A strategic?
Is A tactical?
Why would A be tactical? Or why would it be strategic? Why do you think it's tactical?
I consider it tactical because it's a method, one alternate method to get job done without having to be at the, well, in person at the place where you work.
So, but imagine this, each one of these is written for the particular company. So one is for California Closet, two is for AppCore. In fact, AppCore will be presented today. 3 is for Toyota, and then 4 is for Facebook. And so the one for California Closet is they're specialized in building and installing closets in homes. And so then there's these two opportunities, which are correct. They're both opportunities. One is strategic and one is tactical. And in fact, I made a little comment at the end as I say, California Closet might take this opportunity to apply a new product development strategy and create a new line of product, which is office closets. In fact, this one I came up with it because I found that this is actually true. California Closet, usually they make closets for putting your clothes, and they've decided to start making closets where people can have access to a office. So instead of getting a drawer where you put your sweaters, is that drawer turns into a computer desk and a filing cabinet. So for them, the fact there's more and more people working from home, it's a strategy, not a tactic, because they can create a new product, offices. And so they expand their product portfolio by having where you go there and say, oh, I want some closet to put my shoes. They have that. I want closet to put my winter clothes. That's the winter section. You could have the summer section. Well, I want a closet where I can put my office things. So then there's an office thing. But they didn't come up with an office because they had an idea. You wouldn't want to be California Closet and say, hey, I have an idea. Why don't we do office closets? Is you want to do this because there's an opportunity that says people are staying at home and using their home as an office more than before. And that becomes the opportunity, and it's a strategic opportunity because it generates a strategy, which is new product development. Versus trade show attendance have increased. What could California Closet do about that? They could say, oh, we usually do 2 trade shows a year. Now we're going to do 3 trade shows. But doing one more trade show, it's not a strategy. It's a tactic. It's very important that if someone says, oh, what are the basic strategies? And you say, well, the strategies are easy. Why? Oh, because there's really just a few strategies. How many strategies? I mean, there's, let's say, 25 strategies versus how many tactics? I don't know, 200,000 tactics. So 50 strategies, 200,000 tactics. How many strategies do you know? Well, you know, market penetration, product development, market development, overall cost leadership, focus, differentiation, middle of the road, operational excellence, customer intimacy, product leadership, and market leader, market challenger, market follower, market nicher. All of these are strategies. So there are opportunities that generate these type of action, and there are opportunities that generate very small, very narrow type of actions. So the very narrow type of actions are the tactics. So if I go back to this and let's do hardcore. So we're gonna ask Elisa, for example, who is in the group, who's gonna do hardcore today. And so we're gonna ask Elisa, if you don't mind answering this one. Hardcore is a band which the main appeal comes from the leader of the band. Oh, sorry, I have a typo, playing an electric harp. And then there's two correct opportunities. So I didn't put incorrect opportunities, they're all correct. Sales of anime, manga, market video games have increased by 35% in the USA from 2020 to 2023, according to Nielsen. Nielsen's recent study shows that Instagram posts using an influencer is 2 times more likely to be seen by consumers. So, Elisa, if you don't mind, which one do you think is a strategic opportunity and which one do you think is a tactical opportunity?
Yeah, I think that the strategical is A.
A,
The
that's
sales
correct.
of- yeah.
And why is that?
It's like it's a macro view of the consumer market as a whole.
And what would be the name of the strategy? Which is what you will recommend today, in fact.
The name of the strategy is the
That would come from picking A.
I wish my teammates could help me out because that's actually not my
you can, anyone in your team can help.
It's either, I think it's market penetration or, yeah, 'cause that's a separate market. It could also be development because you're developing something in a market, but I think it's market penetration because they're not in the anime market.
Well, market penetration would be if they are already in the anime market, and they are not. They were not even thinking about it.
And it's market development.
So it's product. Well, it's actually both. It's both. It's market development and product development. Because they're gonna have to go after a market that they didn't go
Right
before, the
And
new
create a
group of
product.
people, and
Yeah.
product development because they're gonna have to tweak their work to fit with the sync type of work,
videos.
which
Right.
they were not doing before. Remember this for the presentation. I'm just and so that's why it's very important to understand the differences between strategic and tactical. And I actually had a student from the past Maya that was supposed to come tonight to talk about the difference between strategic and tactical, but he just got surgery and he's not able to come tonight. So he's going to come for the first class of the entrepreneurship class to talk about opportunities and the importance of finding strategic opportunities more than tactical opportunities, because when you run a business, you want to run a business based on strategies, not on tactics. Tactics are the small details that you have to do every day. So you don't want to do small details every day, not knowing what's the big picture or the broad direction that you're taking. So you want to think about the broad direction and then come up with every day the small things you need to do in order to reach the broad direction. So broad, long-term, that's strategy. Short-term, narrow, that's tactic. So I have another one maybe that it's sort of maybe simple. It's Toyota is the largest automobile manufacturer in the world, producing about 10 million vehicles per year. Oh, I say C and B. I don't know why I did that. It should be A and B. So there's some typos in this document, but anyway. So according to Nielsen, electricity price will go up by 200% in 2030 compared to 2024. And then B is 25% of hydrogen-powered cars are purchased in the month of May, according to Nielsen. So these are two opportunities, but which one is strategic and which one is tactical? And so I'll ask these questions maybe to someone here. What about Paul? What do you think? For the Toyota one, which one? And you can call it C or you can call it A. It's supposed to be here. A and B. Which one do you think is tactical, which one is strategic. I'm not sure if Paul is here. What about Teresa? I see you're here, so maybe you can help us for the Toyota.
I want to say that the A is strategic.
Yes, that's correct. So you can go back to this. I've sent it to everyone. And I made a comment for each one. And I said, Toyota may consider new product development strategy based on this opportunity, which is correct. The strategic one is this one. Is the the electricity prices are going to be 200% up in the future. And I mean, all of these opportunities don't have to be true. And every time I quote Nielsen, just so that way you can see that it's, I mean, the source, you need to have a source. And so I quote Nielsen every time. And in that situation, yeah, so it's 200% up. So for Toyota, this will be a good reason for supporting the new product development of new cars that would be hybrid. Because if you build hybrid cars, you are less subjected to one of the resources becoming too expensive.
Right.
So having multiple.
Be it gas, electric, or hydrogen. Yeah.
Yes. And so you just have multiple, you know, and so if one goes bad, then you don't have to throw away your car. You can just switch the type of source that you use as energy. And in fact, I've actually read somewhere that that's what Toyota is saying, that they don't want to make just electric cars because they expect not to go as well as everyone may be thinking. And so versus why the other one was tactical. 25% of hydrogen cars are purchased in the month of May. So what would you do with this? Well, it's a tactic.
You make sure you have enough cars available for May purchasing.
Yeah, for example, from an inventory, you know, storage perspective, so you worry about that. From a promotion perspective, so you say, oh, let's have all kinds of promotion during that month. And then you probably worry about the months where you sell the least amount of cars. And so you'll just do something which is not all year long, but just during that time. Yeah, and you'll have more people helping in the month of May for this kind of vehicle. So more people helping in May, that's not a strategic decision, that's a tactical decision. So it's a smaller decision. So you have to see the difference between the decision that a general makes and the decision that a caporal makes. Is very different. The decision that Joe Biden makes versus the decision of the policeman in the street in one, I don't know, Sepulveda Boulevard makes. They have different, one is very tactical and one is much more strategic. The person that comes up with big concept, big vision, leadership vision versus the person that comes with just the what do we do today in order to achieve this big picture. Anyway, I do not decide the big picture. Someone above me decides the big picture. So when you have a business, even though this business is a one-person business, you have to have the capacity of thinking about the big picture of the strategy and then the detailed actions, the everyday thing. But you have to see that there are opportunities that feed into the small ideas and opportunities that feed into the big ideas. And now what you're realizing maybe today is that therefore you need to have opportunities for everything, but it's first more common for people to think in terms of ideas than think in terms of opportunities. However, you should stay away from ideas because ideas have to be supported to be good. So if you have an idea and you have an opportunity that supports it, then that's perfect. But if you just have an idea without an opportunity, then it's very weak, it's imperfect, it's even dangerous because it's a question of opinion if it's an idea. If it has an opportunity, it's not an opinion anymore, it's a fact that supports it. Now, there's not all the facts are equal. The best facts are the strategic facts and the least favorable facts are the tactical facts. So you have to see the difference between these two and see that one, it should have opportunities, and two, your decisions, strategic decisions should be based on strategic opportunities. So let's look at the last one. And the last one says Facebook Meta is a social network site that makes connecting and sharing between people. So A, shorter brands are 3 times easier to remember for Generation Z according to Nielsen. Or 37% of the consumer who will use Facebook in 2030 will be women over 65 years old who speak Spanish. Their favorite sport is basketball, and they eat keto diets. So in that situation with Facebook, the strategic opportunity is actually B and not A. And the reason is that A is a sub-component. So knowing that shorter brand names are easier to remember for Generation Z is tactical decisions that someone took because there was a bigger decision than that. And so sometimes the brand can be a strategy, but sometimes the brand can be a tactic. So why is B therefore the answer? Because B is going to generate probably market development. Market development strategy is a strategy that consists in going after a specific group. So maybe it could even be a niche, a focus strategy, focus strategy, market development. All of these means the same thing. And so it's important to see. So I know what I'm asking you is difficult because it's asking you to understand what are the strategies and understand what are the connection between the strategies and the opportunities. What opportunity or what is the strategy that those opportunities generate? But you have to understand that is once you see an opportunity, you already know what is the strategy that comes, right? So it's a little bit like you listen to a sound, and then you know where it belongs, in which music genre it belongs. If it belongs at the beginning, at the end, if it belongs in which song does it belong, which song doesn't belong. Here's the same thing: is which opportunity, what does it generate, and that's very important. So when you write your opportunities, should you rank your opportunities? Yes, you should rank your opportunities. Why is that? Because you're going to have opportunities that are strategic and some that are tactical. Should you have both? You should not have both, but there's 99.9% chance that you have both. So since you have both, you don't want to present them as if they are all equal. So the best thing you can do is rank them. Put the strategic opportunities first, and then the tactical opportunities after. Because tactical opportunities are still opportunities. They just don't have as much impact than the strategic opportunities, okay? Do you have any questions? So, yes. Yes,
No,
Brian, I think
I'm good. I don't have any questions.
Okay. So what I was explaining right now is, to me, it's sort of the big difference between an undergraduate and a postgraduate student. When I teach this to a postgraduate student, my hope is that I get 15, maybe 20% of the students that understand this. Because the undergraduate students very rarely become managers or executives. Undergraduate students, most of the time, haven't worked that much, and they're going to learn what I'm saying now by actually being in the job and eventually maybe getting the responsibility to see the difference between what are the small details versus the big ideas, the big strategies. But then when it comes to a master student, and I'm not saying this, my only motivation for saying this to you is that what we're discussing right now is not a small detail when it comes to being a graduate student. I think as a graduate student, you want to have this understanding of what are the differences and be able to use them differently, because it shows that you have this maturity and this depth of seeing the big things broad and long term, versus the small things which are just tactical and short actions and so forth. So normally you want, and I believe by this class And if not through this class, you will learn this, you will learn it by having the next class. So those two classes combined, it's going to sort of force you to learn what I'm trying to explain now. You're going to have to learn it. Otherwise, it's going to just be very difficult to go through both the difference. So this is available. You can go back to it. You can read the comments. You could, I would recommend not to see, you know, where's the correct answer and go through it and be able to do this exercise by yourself.
Hello, everyone. We're group 4. We're presenting harpcore tonight. And before you make any assumptions, I just want to say a brief bio of harpcore. Harpcore is a rock music band based in Los Angeles that's formed by Gwen May and Will Diesel. They were both born in France. And all the music is composed by Will Diesel, inspired by vast possibilities of the sound of electric harp, thanks to the use of back pedals as an electric guitar. And please mark my words, because when you hear the music of harpcore, you won't believe that this is a harp playing the music that you're hearing. So not only that it's pretty innovative in the sound and edge that harpcore brings to the table, but also how they can differentiate themselves as a band, an upcoming artist that can really propose something to the independent scene in Los Angeles. Next slide, please. So some of the objectives and things that we would like to address here, but that we have also identified is that there is this lack of presence of their brand in social media and across other platforms on the internet. So that's one of the goals, but overall also that like cross-pollination of hardcore in other spaces, not only live and in LA shows, but also like in sync music, TV shows, and other spaces that we will dive into throughout this presentation.
This is a group that's originally from France. They're a unique group with a unique sound. They're talented. It's not usual to see a group that not only plays the harp, but plays an electric harp. They are part of small niche market for this particular type of music. Currently, they have a low budget, and as Gabriel mentioned, a low social media presence, which is something we're going to work in. Now, in the macro environmental analysis, the PESTLE is one of the most important analysis besides the SWOT analysis. We found that within the political aspect of this case, there's an impact of international media on American youth, the environmental impact that we recognize is the influence of K-pop, J-pop, and X-pop. There's a subculture aspect to it. Regarding the technological, shall we say, impact, TVs are the most used platform, streaming services, and fans are tech savvy. The economic shape of this band and is in good shape, and there has been an increase in anime merch. Regarding the legal side of this project, is the sync licensing, which is something we're also going to work on, and the visa limitations.
Some of the critical success factors for harpcore are going to be for them to continue constantly creating music and developing a fuller sound. So it's a unique sound. It's an electric harp, but also to the trained ear, it's lacking a little bit more of a fuller sound. So one of the things that they could do is have the potential to build in an additional instrument. Another thing is the consistent social media engagement and presence. They don't have as much. One thing that we know is out of sight, out of mind. And if they're able to produce more content for social media and YouTube, that'll allow them to actually get in front of their customers and their audience a little bit more. And it'll also allow for them to have more networking and industry connections within the music, television, and film industries. And lastly, finding a niche market is going to be really critical for them. There's an opportunity for harpcore to nail down their specific audience that will find great joy in their sound. And when this happens, it'll allow for additional opportunities to open up.
So speaking of opportunities, just going through a list of things, 52% of the US population attends some sort of live music event each year. So ever since COVID was over, or ever post-COVID, I would say, and the return to live music functions have been a way that people can make music. Number two, YouTube, most popular on-demand music streaming website. So YouTube postings, being consistent with your presentation of music, because YouTube is utilized throughout the world. EDM fans are ahead of all leading interest genres and the highest attendance of live music events. So again, we're looking at live music events and the impact of music that is not necessarily R&B or hip hop, but EDM and music that lends itself to that, which Harpcore's method actually does. In 2018, music streaming accounted for 75% of the music industry revenue. So streaming obviously is a way. We'll look at the platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and then we look at Spotify for streaming, and like I said, social media platforms to make people aware of where you're at streaming. Global reviews for music synchronization grew by 2.8% in 2016 to 364.1 million. And then the anime industry, which is the final one we're looking at, has become a $17 billion industry with movies, internet distribution, music overseas, and entertainment segments that have grown. In 2022, anime reached 25.82 billion, and then this estimated to go all the way to 52.99 billion by 2032. So potential strategies, adapting music towards more popular genres. So like we said, EDM works, but what are the other areas of development that we could penetrate? Product and market development. We can increase the opportunities for the group that way. Enhancing the live performance, we talked about that. Digital streaming, we talked about that. Market development and the music in these positions. But we really want to focus on the anime and take a look at the anime market and synchronized licensing, because we're talking about market development and creation, market development and product development inside of the type of music that they have, making it adjusted to fit inside the anime market, and methods that were used for this subculture, because there's a subculture connected to anime. And so what are our recommendations? The anime market gears Harpcore's unique style and brand towards fans that already love instrumental music, and by doing what we call AMV covers, these anime movie videos or anime episode videos that you could, with the anime titles across or methods across with their music over and sync to these videos. Sync licensing, produce music for anime shows and films, that also can provide revenue. So when they get the opportunity to do that, so how would they get to there? So exposure, networking, anime expos, which have this huge culture that worldwide, that we have anime at different times of the year where you can put up what your music is, display these videos, network with people, and monetize what you do. So moving on to the next slide, I want to play something for you. And we're going to move over to market segmentation, targeting, and positioning.
Thank you, Brian. And as you heard, that was Harpcore's music over some anime videos. Now we're going to look at a few segments and talk about these as it relates to Harpcore getting into the anime arena. So the first one being the subculture here. Anime has a very active and engaged fan base. They tend to, a lot of times, were exposed to them young, and then as they grew older, continued on in the community of anime. For instance, I have a little sis that's 9 years old. Every time we go to the library, she only wants to go for the anime books and the manga, I think is what they call them. And so from young to old is interested in this area. So very loyal fan base. In regards to the gender, It started off more male rooted, but now has become more gender neutral. And with ARPCOR having both male and female members, you know, they will appeal to both male and female in this segment. Looking at the geographic location, the US outside of Asia is one of the largest consumer base for anime, the anime community. In Europe itself, France is one of the larger areas for anime consumption. And then the fun little fact is that LA hosts one of the biggest anime conventions in the US, and there are several anime conventions that happens across the US every year. Looking at the generation and age of these consumers, you can see there they cross all different age limit ages. The Generation X bringing it in mostly starting in the 90s. And then of course the millennials and then the Gen Zs as well, because the parents have exposed the younger ones to it. And so across generations, it has taken off basically. So again, the lifestyle and personality of these people, they're very loyal. They tend to spend money, the conventions, they get into the dress, the costuming of anime. So they do tend to spend or they're open to the international entertainment of this. So it makes for a very good consumer base for ARPCOR. Next slide. This slide is just a geotargeting depiction of how or where the locations of how anime has grown. And as you can see, the USA is really growing in regards to the anime arena as opposed to other parts of the parts of the world.
All right, I'm gonna expand on what Teresa was talking about, and as far as anime, and marketing strategies, relating it back to ARPCOR. So a little bit more about the anime subculture. So anime market received 17.7 billion in the year 2017. And after 2013, the anime market grew 172% outside of Japan. Just like Teresa was talking about, here in America, anime has definitely become more popular over the years with multiple generations. And there's bands like Flow who blew up globally because their music was in anime. So we hope to do the same for ARPCOR and include their music so this can further their career. And then there's a song called Unravel by Ling Tootsie, and it got 11 million streams 9 months after Tokyo Ghoul. All right, and then relating to authenticity. So ARPCOR started from a desire to be different and to travel a road that no one has traveled before. As we saw in the video earlier, their music definitely has a unique sound, and they want their audience to feel their originality and that it be felt by everyone who listens to it. And then full and inspiring music, ARPCOR wants to be noticed in the anime community. They're going to have to match the quality of the music desire to create a mood that fits the anime, what's going on the screen. And then a passion for creation. Anime fans love creation and abstract works of art, and the unique dynamic of ARPCOR matches the elements that those anime fans are attracted to. And then I'm going to hand it over to Eliza, who's going to talk about a timeline for a few events.
Okay, so we have a timeline for our marketing campaign. We're going to start in August of 2024. Now, anime fans are some of the biggest fans that there are, so being able to be visible at conventions is going to be a win-win. And Animanga, which is a premier anime convention in Melbourne, Australia, will start us off. We'll then go into the Long Beach Comic-Con convention, September 14th and 15th of 2024 as a confirmed guest star. And at the same time, we'll be able to release new YouTube content releases. And by December or January of 2025, we're going to land a anime sync deal that will enable us to be in the homes of millions. And I also have a 17-year-old nephew, and I asked him what his favorite song in the world was, and it was the theme song for his favorite anime show. So we have a great range of fans. And in January 2025, we're going to take that to live shows and within Anime Los Angeles, and this will give them the opportunity to play in front of their fans specifically. And like Teresa said earlier, LA is host to one of the biggest anime conventions in the US, which is AX, Anime Expo. And July 25, we'll be able to play there. It's the largest celebration of Japanese pop culture in North America. And that will conclude our marketing timeline. And in conclusion, the strategic opportunities that are present for HarpCore boil down to tapping into a very niche market that the anime community represents, and which will allow for different opportunities for them to flourish in their specific sound. Thank you for listening to our presentation of HarpCore.
Thank you.
Excellent. Good job. Well, I'm very excited to. Do you mind going back, because there's a few things that you've
Sure.
made an improvement from because you gave it some importance. So the one thing that, if you can go back to the beginning, the one thing is good is you work on the flow. So we can see that you are more in control of the flow, and it's a much better presentation from what you even did last Saturday, for example, when you talked to of Lori. So I think I have the feeling things are falling on their place, and it's starting to make sense. Go to the next slide. The slides that were coming. Yeah, okay. So this one was really good, I thought, because it's this is if you have a slide where you need to have words and you don't have a graph, or you don't have an image or anything, that's a good slide, because there's some image, there is some words, but it's not wordy. So that's a very good example of a slide that you can present. I think it was Luis presenting this, so you can have all the information that you're reading, but there it's very easy for someone to know where you are and follow. So that's a very good example, which was a very sort of a big difference with the one that followed, where suddenly you went to a table and it looked like you did the pestle twice somehow, between the slide before and this slide. So if you need two slides to do the pestle, because you want to do this, make those two slides sort of look alike. So that way we don't have in the format. So that way we don't feel like you're doing two different things. You see how different these two slides are, when in fact they're on this sort of, well, it's the micro and macro. I guess it's two different subjects, but
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, the
Yeah,
subjects are quite similar.
And therefore I think you could have done it either in one slide or in two slides, but keeping them very connected. But the fact that you had this format that was different, it looked like next slide and then okay, next slide, when in fact they were. And so you've done very well. I don't want you to take it the wrong way, but I think you could have done a little job on this. And then go to the next slide, and I'll just keep making comment. Okay, so that was good. So this one also was very good, although suddenly we go into a very wordy presentation. But then it's hard not to make it wordy, because you really want to present them to the audience, right? That was your idea. Mm-hmm. So what was interesting in this one, and so now I'm going to ask your team a difficult question. Which one was the weakest of all of these? And then yes.
I feel it was YouTube.
Yes. So which one was the tactic?
The tactic is
Number 6, right?
Well, YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube, exactly. Yeah. So remember what I said, when you present your opportunities, but you couldn't fix this order. Yeah. So then if you order it, it's okay if you have strategic and tactic, but you don't want to put them in the order where we wonder if you know the difference. Gotcha. But if it's ordered, we don't have to ask you the difference. It'll be insulting to say, hey, do you know the difference? Well, you probably know because it's ordered. But when it's not ordered, we don't know if you do. But you've answered perfectly. The weakest one is YouTube, and it's also the most tactical, which makes sense, because the tactics are weaker. And so if it's kind of funny, and also but they were all, I mean, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're all strategic, which is nice. You have a bunch of strategic opportunities in there. So why do I spend time on this? Yes.
Why is number 2 a tactic? I don't understand that.
Because it's something that you can just do for yourself. You can just put up some videos, whereas
Okay.
the rest of them are the impact of them. I'm sorry, Professor.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, everybody should do that. And you couldn't say my strategy is to post on YouTube. That's something that is helping something else.
That an individual can do. Anybody can do it anytime. It's not something in the atmosphere. It's not like 50% of the U.S. population attends. That's a statistic in the world or in the U.S., whereas YouTube is just something to do.
Yeah, and in fact, when they do the anime is the big idea. And when they do the anime, you're going to recommend them to do YouTube, but it's a supporting thing for the anime. So it's a side gig, if you want. You got to do the YouTube. Like Instagram, more and more people are using Instagram. That's an opportunity, but it's a tactical opportunity, not a strategic opportunity. So that's why I wanted to go back to this, because not everyone is going to understand this today and maybe in a week, but eventually you want to discuss with your team, and every time you look at your opportunity, say, hey, now we have a good bunch of opportunities, let's rank them and let's see which one are strategic. And at the end, if you say none are strategic, you can't expect this to be a good presentation. If all your opportunities are tactical, means the presentation will be weak. It's just it's like chemistry, it's like mathematics. It will be weak if it's all tactical. And then if you have one like this where you have 6 and you have 5 strategic, then you have a good presentation. It should be. So next slide. And so this slide is the Alleluia slide. Because suddenly, not only they talk about the opportunities, but they connect them to the strategy. Alleluia, right? That's what now you can see why I said it's Alleluia, because we finally got the whole picture. Is why do we worry about the opportunities? Because we're going to have to make some strategies. But if the opportunities are tactical, what kind of strategy are we going to do from tactical opportunities? None. Like the YouTube example. There's no strategy you can do out of that. Why? Because it's not a strategic thing. So this is only going to be weak. So suddenly when you start lining them up like that, then you can see that this group selected 4 out of the 5 strategic opportunity. And why they did 4 out of the 5? Because they may even have done 3, because 2 is too little of a choice, 3 is good, and 4 is even better. So they went through this and put, this did not exist before. This is something that this group created. That's a new thing. And that's even an improvement from the original presentation. So congratulations. So next, but remember what I'm hoping not to tell you is why you're doing this, talking about Lottie. And then I said, but you didn't do it for hardcore, right? So whatever you're doing here, do it for Lottie as well. Don't do it for.
Actually, I wanted to talk to you about. Well, I'll keep going, but there's things from this that apply to Lottie directly.
Yeah, there's things. So then they went into the. Here I would have. The opportunity here is to have a moment of truth where you could say that why you recommend the anime, and I think you would want to go even bigger, because obviously you didn't know this client, but this client never mentioned about the anime. So you're recommending something that the client never said that they wanted. I mean, to recommend someone to do something they never mentioned in their life and they never even done anything, it looks like a very scary thing. So normally in real life, and the students went into a little bit smoother than you did, where it's like, why is the anime? So you really have to make a bigger argument and spend some time on this. And, using the picture, the fact that they look like almost character of anime, that was an element. It was their strengths fit with what you're asking them to do. Their music fit. And that's why you say, and their music fit. Here's an example. And there is the video to show the example that it fits. Okay, you can keep on moving. Oh yeah, you see the video was right behind, so I didn't remember, but that fits. Even the music fits. And then you go into the STP, and so there, let me see what you did. So what you did is, this is S. And then next slide. Yeah, so you did S. I think you didn't do the persona, the target. Go to the next slide. Yeah, so undifferentiated. It could not be undifferentiated. Unless that's what you mean. It's like there's no specific persona, no specific target for hardcore. You see what I'm saying? So that's what here you missed the point, is that you have to say who this is for. The young, the old, the educated, uneducated, the rich, the poor, you know, the Hispanics, the Asian, I don't know. So the fact that you say it's undifferentiated, that means it's going to be music for just the anime market with no differentiation. And is that what you wanted to say? That do you believe that's the situation? But then it's contradictory because before you have the segmentation.
We didn't change this slide.
Yeah, so it's confusing. Do not think I'm going to give you, I don't want you to be upset that that's going to affect your grade. This is just a discussion, so you learn something. Is that you did the segmentation. Here are the characteristics of the segment. And after that is you have to decide who are the targets. Therefore, give us the profile, like I did with the JD Power. You remember the different group of people that would be buying it. So that's what's missing. Once you know the characteristics, their age, their culture, I think you had a bunch of things, then you need to give us a profile of who these people are. And then comes this slide and it says undifferentiated. Remember, you have undifferentiated, concentrated, and differentiated. We just talked about this a few minutes ago. So maybe that's the reason why you didn't really pay too much attention, because it's something new. So eventually you need to say which one you use, but I think it's going to be very rare in the music industry that you use undifferentiated. I mean, it's such a competitive, such a fragmented industry that it would be very difficult to make a music that is sort of the universal music for everybody. And so in the anime it would be the same. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, or I just want to make sure?
Yeah, I think we get it.
Okay, so
we're identifying the anime fans. We need to identify what their makeup is, their age, their
exactly. Yeah, and this is called the persona analysis.
Right. Are they cosplay? All that.
Yes. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so that was very interesting. There was almost like a strength that came here. Remember the SWOT, and suddenly there's the strengths that come a little bit. I'm not sure I would have put it late like this after you discuss the customers, but and then the next slide, and then it's the timeline. So that's fine. The timeline is at the end. The timeline was what was really good about this timeline is it's very clear. The only thing that I would say for Lottie, maybe you want to do better, is you would want to do something that is maybe the first year, maybe the second year, maybe a bit more long term.
Okay, an extended timeline showing growth over that period of time.
Yes, and maybe the second year you don't have as much information, and maybe you have the third year and you don't have as much information, but we see some long length of time, you know, because we are doing a consulting which is for 2-3 years. So maybe what I'm trying to say, more detail for the first, that's fine. Less for the second, less for the third, but maybe a bit more length. So for hardcore is an exercise. I don't expect it to be perfect. I'm just looking to see if you know what you're doing, which here in this situation was great. But for Lottie, we want to see the details eventually. So hopefully the rest of the students also listen to my comments, and that way they can see, because now everyone is starting to level up and we're starting to speak the same language. And now when I say strategic opportunity and all this, it's not like, what is he talking about? This is French or something. No, now we started to have a common language. And so that's what I'm looking. Send me some opportunities, make sure that they're strategic. Tell me what you want to do with it. Maybe tell me what's the strategy for it. And once you start doing this, it's going to go very fast. I'll tell you yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then we know how quickly you're going to get there. Because like I said, it happens that 2 weeks before it's due, there's groups that are totally lost. And it happens also often that those students, even it's 2 weeks left, they find something amazing and they do tremendous. But the problem is it's very stressful to wait for the last minute. So I just know it's a human trait. There's some people. I have 2 kids. I have one that is a huge procrastinator and one that is not. And so I know she's a really good student, but for some reason she waits for the last minute. And so I'm hoping that not all the members are procrastinator, And that way you don't all end up waiting for the last minute. So send me things, I'll give you some feedback. Now, do you have any questions before I move on to no questions?
Thank you for that review. This one actually helped me in my thought process for Lottie. And when you were talking to us about opportunities last week and why ours were weak then. So I'm seeing some things now.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad to hear. Having done this for a number of years, I can tell you that this class is very much in the footstep of it's like a clock, like a Swiss clock, and it goes tick, tick, and the tick, tick is good. You're right on the tick, tick. If today suddenly you're starting to figure this out, opportunity, strategy means you're there. Now you need to find what they are. And again, it won't come to you unless you're doing some research. And what's very, very important that I say that may not seem important is it's important that you talk to other people, that you have some interviews and discussions and focus group with some people, let them listen to the music, figure something. It's very, very important that you do that. And that's the way you're going to break through with some opportunities, I think. And that's usually the way it is. So now just to finish the class, I want to talk about the 4 Ps. So the first P I will talk about is the product. And so the 4 Ps is also called the marketing mix, and the product has its own mix with different elements inside the mix. So first, what is a product? A product is a generic name for goods, services, organization, IDs, people, and location. So for example, if you market people, you are a person is a product. The product is a generic term. The specific name is a person. If you're selling a good, that's a physical type of product. So it's a product and a good. If you're selling an event like a concert, this concert is a product. The product is a generic term. The event is a specific term. You're selling an ID. It's the same. An ID is the specific term and it's a product. If you selling CSUN, it's an organization and it's a product. So selling an MBA program, you're selling a product which is an organization, but also a service. So what are services? Like FedEx, UPS, or CSUN, UCLA, hospital, restaurants, lawyers, and airlines, and so forth. So it's something that is by nature intangible. The idea is that products and services and goods and ideas and all that, they go within a spectrum from being more tangible that you can touch and store to less tangible, which means that you cannot. So you can buy a vinyl disc of Taylor Swift, and that's a good, but you can go to a concert of Taylor Swift, and that's a service. And yet it's still Taylor Swift. So she would be selling services and products. What's important with services is there's an interaction between the service provider and the person being serviced most of the time, not always, but there usually is. With goods, there's not as much because the goods, you buy it on Amazon and the service is the delivery of the good, but there's not that much relationship. There's oftentimes no relationship, but it's not always the case. Some products are high contact and some services specifically are high contact and some services are low contact. You're buying from a vending machine, that's a service, it's a retail service, but it's low contact because you're doing it yourself. You going to an ATM, it's low contact. You're going inside the bank, speaking to a teller, it's high contact. So services have a set of characteristics that are unique to the services. So one I've just mentioned is this concept of intangibility, which means that you cannot touch it. Inseparability is you can't separate who's making it from the time it is being made and the time that you're consuming it. You're going to get a concert, you're consuming at the time. Sometimes the moment is so magic that you wish it lasts forever, but it won't. It's just this magic moment. Maybe there's one song, it's your favorite song in the concert, that's only going to be one time and it goes away. Variability is it depends on who's providing it. So, you go to a concert, it's not always good because the singer may have lost their voice that day and it's a person, it's not a robot. So therefore there is some variations. And then it's perishable, means that you cannot store it. So it has to be sold at the time it is produced. Someone makes a sandwich at Subway. This sandwich can only be sold that day. It cannot be sold a week after, even though it's a good, it will expire the service of receiving this. You're getting a haircut. You can't store a service of a haircut, or you can't store the travel in a plane, or a hotel renting. And so if the hotel is empty and they have nobody in there, well, they lost the opportunity to be selling to people. Products, therefore, it's like an onion. There's the core, the actual, and the augmented. So it's like an onion with various level of the benefits, the reason for buying. The core is the main, the most important. The actual are the different benefits, the different features, the different brands, the different designs. And then the augmented are usually the services that you will get with the product, such as the delivery, the warranties, the installation. So here's a typical product where the core of this treadmill is to get exercise. The actual product is a different brand, the different speeds, the different sizes. And the augmented product is the fact that they will deliver it, install it, maybe you'll pay it in several times. Now, when you look at CSUN, we can think about the same as an organization. What is the core? The core is education. The core is a degree. The core is knowledge. What is the actual? The actual is the different classes, the different professors, the different majors and the different minors. And then what is the augmented? The augmented is the library, the sports activities, the restaurants, maybe the medical help, the career placement. All of these are the different layers, from the degree you get to the different classes and professors, to the buildings, the amenities, the parking, and all of this. There's something else when you talk about product is the fact that there's different quality and categories of products. There's the convenience product is the one that you buy regularly. You don't see much differences between the brands. They're low prices. You don't have too much regret. You don't spend time too much comparing. The opposite with shopping. Shopping is you will compare. You will see differences between the brands. You may have regrets if you buy the wrong one. So convenience, good. And I'm just going to give examples because we all have different interests. But for example, a newspaper, you just keep buying the same newspaper, or maybe the same soap, or the same shampoo, or the same milk. Versus shopping is something that you will see as being really different. So maybe it could be milk again, because maybe you'll be buying a specific brand of milk that you see is more organic and so forth. But in general term, milk will be convenience versus shopping. That may be a washing machine, a car will be shopping, clothing will be shopping as well, because the brand would have a matter, and the design would have a matter, and the image would have a matter. Then specialty goods tends to be the one that are more expensive, the one that you buy rarely. And so it's like funeral arrangements, that's a specialty goods. But also, I would say an expensive watch, I don't know, Cartier, Rolex, that's a specialty goods. Another specialty goods, maybe, you know, a gown for a wedding. That's a specialty goods, because normally you're supposed to only get married once. So it would be very a unique time in your life. And then unsought products are all these other products that we just don't know. Maybe you don't know a brand of shaver that other people know and you don't know. Maybe you don't know a brand of mineral water, or maybe you don't know an artist. Like people don't know Lottie. So Lottie, as it is right now, she's unsought because they don't think music equal Lottie. She does not belong to the consideration set. So the unsought is by definition the biggest set of products. When you talk about products, you have to talk about the arrangement of these products. And if we go back to my example I gave you today, actually, oh yeah, it was a California closet. I was telling you, California closet, they sell home closets, and suddenly they could go into selling office closets. If they were to sell office closets, this will be an enhancement of the width. So the width is a number of different product lines. So California closet, they only do, you know, closed closet. You expand the width by putting the office closet. Maybe then you keep expanding by doing the kitchen closet. Maybe you expand by doing the garage closets. And so all of these will be different. And then you'll have within each one of these different variation of offices, of clothing closet, garage closet, kitchen closets. And so then you'll have 3 variation, 2 variation, 6 variation for each one of them. And that's the depth. So the width is the different categories. The depth is the variation within the categories. And the length is the sum of all of these. And the consistency is there connection between all of these. So as a simple example, we can use cars, for example. So a brand of cars, trucks, cars, and vans. So that's the width. The width is 3. 1 is truck, 2 is cars, 3 is vans. And then the depth is how many variations they have within each. So in that situation, it's easy. They all have the same one. They have 3 variations within each one of the category. And the length will be the sum of all the variations, which means there's 9 variations. So the product portfolio is made of 9 products in that situation. Now, another thing that's important is when you do product line decision, you also think in terms of the stretching. It's sometimes you have the possibility of going up market or down market. Let's say you are Giorgio Armani, and then you want to go down market. Why would you do that? Because you want to sell cheaper products. So you sell AX, you sell Emporio, you sell Armani jeans, and these will be a down market type of product, which will allow you to sell cheaper products in larger volumes. The advantage of this is you increase your sales dramatically. What you sell has a lower margin per product, but your profit altogether is going to go up. However, by doing this, you also damage the original brand, which was Giorgio Armani, because now suddenly there's variations, but they're not cheaper Giorgio Armani. They're slightly different brands. So they're going to be sold in different locations, and therefore there should be limited number of cannibalization between these brands and all of them and Giorgio Armani, the core brand. When you talk about a product, you talk about the attributes, the branding, the packaging, the labeling. So the attributes are very important when it talks about the quality, the different features that the product offers, and maybe there's some issue of design. So Apple is one of the brands that sort of, leads the path when it comes to those questions of the quality, people perception of the quality, people perception of the features. I mean, they came up with the concept of smartphones and the fact that you're using a piece of glass to be moving around and so forth. And in terms of design, their design is kind of interesting because they go round, square, more round, back to square, in order to keep those different Apple numbers to be different. So the design is important, and everyone is not doing anything else than Apple, and everyone is just trying to catch up with them. So the packaging is very important because it helps to differentiate yourself, to be recognized, to protect your product, to help with the inventory, with the codes, the scanner codes, and so forth. And it helps to be competitive. So this is a brand that was a nobody brand at one time, and they decided to put a different design. Not only they were very strong in a category that was new, craft beer, when there were not too many people, so they took advantage of being among the first, true, but they also came up with a very different design, which came out as so different from anybody else that this company went from being making $1 million to making $1 billion very quick. But there's all the brands that are very differentiated from the design because of their packaging. Pringles, Go-Gurt, these are brands that are just selling same product as everybody else, maybe even an inferior product as many other people, but it's the packaging that makes them superior. So brands are important, and now we're going to look at brand strategy very quick. So because time is flying, I'm going to focus just on this, the concept of brand equity. So brands are important because they help consumers make a decision. They buy the brand that they know. They buy the brand that feels is the best value. They buy the brand that makes it easier to identify as maybe having quality, features, and other attributes. For the seller of the brand, the advantage is that if you have a brand, you have some level of protection, and you can be competitive and differentiate yourself. And you differentiate yourself, what's very important is to bring the hallelujah of brand equity, which is brand loyalty. So all the brands, what they're doing is they're trying to get brand loyalty. Why do you try to get brand loyalty? Brand loyalty, which means that people buy and buy again, and they repeat purchase. If they repeat purchase, it is costing you less to incentivize people to buy. They'll keep buying anyway. They're hooked. They're addicted to the brand, and they just keep buying no matter what. They don't have to be motivated as much. Motivating people to buy brands is expensive and it's time consuming. Here, brand loyalty is the top position for a brand. But before this, you have other equity. So equity is the whole thing. It's the value of the brand, the asset of the brand. So the first level is brand awareness. Do they know or don't know? I've never heard of this brand. Do you know Aqua Fresh toothpaste? No. What do you know? I know Colgate. Oh, okay. So Colgate is the brand aware brand versus Aquafresh. You just don't know. Brand association is once you know a brand, it's the next level up, the next betterment, improvement up. Is not only I know Colgate, but I know Colgate is very good for cavity protection. Oh, okay, good. And so it helps people make a decision of which brand should they buy based on what problem they're trying to solve. I have a cavity, I buy Colgate. I buy Colgate because I don't want cavity. So it's this association that makes me buy the brand. Not only it's like, which brand toothpaste do you know? I know Colgate. So it's better than nothing. But then if you know that it does something specifically, it encouraging you to buy it for what it does. So that concept I'm discussing is directly connected to positioning. You want to know what is your target wants. If they want cavity protection, you're going to say your brand does cavity protection, but you can't give them lip service. Is your brand has to be really good for cavity protection. So you have to have not just say what you want to say for their customers to be wanting you. It has to be specifically good at what you say. Otherwise, it's very short term and people are going to see that you are trying to take advantage of it. The next level out of this, the brand association, is this perception of quality. Everything in our head, every brand that we can think of, is we put it on the spectrum from 0 to 100. It doesn't have to be 0 to 100, but from no quality to the best quality. And so we can put them on that line and we could rank them. And it doesn't mean that this ranking is right, unless you're maybe an expert in the field. But if you're not an expert in the field, you're talking about your perception. So brands have to build this perception. And so what they do is they look at what do they think makes the brand better. Maybe it's the quality of the components, the suggestion of who is buying the brand, who is using the brand, enhances the perception of quality. And then the last one, like I said, the one everyone is trying to get to, is the brand loyalty. It's this idea that with more loyalty, eventually you make it easier. But the number one thing with brand loyalty that oftentimes escape most people is the fact that you have more strength in order to speak to the trade. So for example, you want to be a singer, and there was a mention that someone in Japan put a music in an anime that was watched 9 million times. Someone said that. I forgot who in the team just before. And so if you're nobody and then someone knows that you've seen 9 million times, right now you can speak to anyone because they're interested to talk to you. So once you have people that follow you, you have this power that you can start talking to Sony, Universal. But if nobody follows you, even if you have a great product, you're going to have to prove. They may see the potential, but the big leverage is the more people think that you're worth something, the more you will convince the industry, the market, the distribution, the retailer, the online retailer, the journalist to be doing something about you. If you don't have the numbers, nobody cares. And this is not just true at the time of social media. This has been true forever and ever. And so that's why loyalty is useful. So just to finish, it is useful because if you have a new product and you bring it to the distributor, they're going to say a new product from someone famous, okay, I'll take a chance. A new product from someone less famous, it's new. Nobody knows if it's going to work. But if you take, you take the most famous singer right now and make this person sing a song that is not so good, there's still going to be a ton of people that are going to listen to it and even buy the music. Now take this song that is not so good and give it to someone that is not very famous and make them sing, even sing better than this famous person. And you will see that nobody is going to care because of the association with the artist. The artist, when the artist is famous, it multiplies people's perception of the quality of the music instantaneously. And so that's true for an artist. It's true for a cell phone. It's true for a pair of skis. It's true for all of this. And so that's why brands are trying to get to this loyalty in order to increase perception that the trade, that the retailers need to carry the product because there's less risk for the innovation.